For number 1, how did you figure out which fraction was equivalent to 5/6? Okay, which one worked? 30, 36, all right. Number 2, at what point did you determine the symbol? At what point did you determine the symbol? Okay, because? Okay, they were all equal. Number 3, are the shapes similar or congruent, and how do you know? Nobody answered that one? Eduardo. They're not the same size. Good. They're similar. Good. Number 4, move the decimal point up, do your division. What did you get for the quotient? 9 and 43/100. Good. Number 5, 17% as a fraction. Is that in those terms? No, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Number 5, what is your difference? Your difference? Or number 6, I'm sorry, number 6, your difference? I couldn't hear the whole thing. Yes, 133,387. Number 7, what did you have to do before you could add those fractions together? What did you have to do before you could add those fractions together? And 1/2 became?
4/8.
And 4/8 plus 3/8 is? 7/8. Good. Number 8, 10 millimeters is how many centimeters? 1. Number 9, what formula did we need to use to find the area of the triangle?
1/2.
Not length times width, but base times height. Good, good. And what did you find the area of your triangle to be? 10 square inches. Good. And number 10, what canceling can be done? What canceling can be done? None. And you multiply across and you got? Okay, good. 5/72. What questions do you have? All righty. You may get that recorded and put away. On 589, we did the evens. Number 2, you would have multiplied by 12 to come up with 60 inches. What'd you do for number 4? Number 4. And you got? Number 6, what'd you do? Ezra? Okay. How about number 8? What would we do? Number 8. Audra?
Multiply 7 by 3 to get 21.
And then?
Oh, and then you have to. Oh, and then you have to add the 2p at the
And your final answer?
23.
23 feet, good. How about number 10? Number 10, what would we do there? Number 10, Dante?
I forgot.
Number 10, Finley? Okay. How about number 12? Number 12. Ezra?
You would do 580
5,280?
plus 900 equals 600,
6,180?
Yeah, and 6,200 would be good.
Okay. And number 14, what will we do there? Dante?
So we would do multiplied by 3 by the 300 by feet to get 900 feet, and 1,000 feet would be greater.
Okay. Number 16, what would we do there? Number 16, Ezra?
You would multiply 12 by 3, 36, banner.
Okay. And how about number 18? How do you compare two lengths that are measured in different sized units? What did you come up with for that, Dante?
You have to you have to convert the numbers to make them the same measurements.
Okay, so you want to make sure that whatever unit you're using, you pick one unit and you convert the other to that same unit. Okay? Questions so far? All right. Turning to page 590. What did you do to come up with how long her garden is in feet? And you got label? 15 feet. Number 2.
You divide 180 by 12, and then you get 16, then you divide 60 by 12, and you get 12 as your answer. Wait, you get 15 as your answer, and then you divide 15 by 3 because you need 3. Yep. Because there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So
And you got?
5 yards.
Did anybody do it any other way? Ezra?
I did a kind of quicker way. So I took 12, but 10 times it by 3, because then I divided 180 by 36 and got 5 yards.
Okay. And how about number 3? Number 3, what'd you do for that one? Number 3.
We have 16 bags. We have 64 bags. And 16 is 3 cups. I did 64 times 2. I got 192.
No, not exactly.
So I listened until the 16 until I got 64, and I saw that it was 4 times, and then I saw that it was 3 cups of sugar for each, and then I multiplied 3 times 4 to get the 12 cups of sugar.
There you go. 16 went into 64 4 times, so we need 4 groups of 3 cups or 12 cups. Good. How about number 4? Number 4. Lane, what'd you do for number 4?
I did 48 over 1 and times 3/8, and then that got you 18 over 1, so 18 cards.
All right. Number 5, what's the quotient there? Quotient? Pardon? Okay. And number 6, what's the missing number?
80.
And what was the rule?
You multiplied it by 4 everything.
Pardon?
You multiplied the sequence 1 by 4. Or you multiplied sequence 1 by 4.
No, that would not be the rule.
I put everything in sequence 1, you multiply by 2, and that's the answers. In sequence 2, that's the answers for sequence 1.
Okay, multiply
Two.
sequence 1 by 2 to get sequence 2. Yes. All right, questions? Anybody? All right. Please get out your trifold that we're working on for capacity measurement. We'll be taking a look at that next and adding to it. All right, when we got started on Monday, you're gonna want to go back here. Piece of paper, so if you were here on Monday, you can start the trifold. Our trifold had customary up there, we had it in 3 parts. We did length here, right? Today we're gonna do capacity in the center one. Okay, capacity. That help? Thanks for letting me know. So you'll be drawing your pictures in this section. Does that make sense? Okay, I'll draw bigger up here for you. I'm going to talk about them here, and then I need to send these down to Mrs. Collison because we only have 1 set of these, okay? So I'm going to hold off on pictures so that I can show them here, get them down there so they can see them. And then we'll draw pictures and do some more talking, okay? All right? So when we do capacity, we're talking volume also. We're talking liquid measurements. We're talking how much it will hold, all right? So typically our smallest unit that we talk about is the cup, okay? Cup. All right, kind of like your milk carton at lunch, okay? And then it goes to the pint, and it takes 2 of these to fill up this. Okay? And it goes to the quart, takes 2 of these to fill up this. All right, and then, oops, these guys can see me. I better start over. Did you guys see the cup? 2 cups to make a pint. 2 pints to make a quart. 2 quarts then to make the ½ gallon, all right? And then 2 ½ gallons to make the gallon, okay? All right? So it goes up by 2s each time, right? Now, the quart, it would take how many quarts then to make a gallon?
3.
Oh my. 4. Think about a quarter. It takes how many quarters to make $1? 4. How many quarts to make a gallon? 4. Okay, quarter. A quarter of it, a fourth of it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. So capacity is kind of easy to remember because it goes by 2s as long as you have that ½ gallon in there. Does that make sense? So it's always going up by groups of 2, all right? So here though gives you a sense of size, right? Okay? Does that make sense? And we'll draw it here in just a minute, but I want to get these down to Mrs. Collett's room so that her class can see them also. Ezra, you have a question?
Yeah, what did it take, A points to do it go down?
What?
What did it take?
We're gonna talk about all that here in just a second, okay? All right. The other thing that we talk about is in a cup, there's 8 fluid ounces. 8 fluid ounces, not 8 ounces, 8 fluid ounces. So we'll be talking about that as well, okay? All right, so. Audra, would you run these down to Mrs. Collett for me, please? Thank you. All right. So let's get them drawn and then we're going to talk about some places where we actually see them besides these little things right here. All right. So here we go. Your drawing skill is going to be put to the test, folks. Here we go. I'm going to kind of go slow so that Audra has a chance. Good job. All right. Okay. There we go. Okay. Milk. Whoops. No. Milk carton at lunch. That makes sense? Does that help you? Milk carton at lunch? Yes? And that is a cup. Okay. Yep. Good with that? So in that is 8 fluid ounces. 8 fluid ounces. Okay. So then our next one. Okay, is going to be the pint. And it is 2 cups. Right? And then we get the next one. Is the quart. Okay. And it is 2 pints. Okay. Some of you might think of the quart as quart jars. You know, the canning jars. Canning jars, the big canning jars. That makes sense? Quart canning jars, does that do anything for you? Yes, no? Like the Mason?
Oh,
canning
Mason.
jars?
Oh, the Mason. Oh, that makes sense.
The big Mason canning jars? The bigger ones? Okay. Whereas this would be the, big quart canning jars. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Okay. And then we have
Half gallon?
the half gallon of milk. Okay. Okay. So, and it has 2 pints in it, right? Or 2, not 2 pints. Always, Mrs. Allen.
2 quarts.
How about 2 quarts?
Yeah.
2 quarts. 2 quarts.
This is half a gallon.
For short, would
2
there
quarts.
for short,
And then
And then that's one.
the last one would be the full gallon. Okay. With the old handle over here. And it is 2 half gallons, right? Alright. Alright. Okay. Okay. So I'm also gonna put in here 4 quarts. Because that's commonly talked about. All right. Does that help you? Okay. So. Now, I want you to turn your paper over to the back. Because we're gonna draw another picture that might help you out. Okay? I want you to be like, ever got this? So I can erase this?
No. No.
You still need my lovely artwork?
Yeah.
that's what I did.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The gallon, let me draw it first. Okay, let me draw it first. Let me draw it first. Okay, let me draw it first, and then you guys can draw it, okay? All right. Within the gallon, if you look at your front side, how many half gallons are in there?
2.
2. Okay.
Wait, are we making a huge?
Just stop. Just watch up here. There's 2 half gallons, right? Right? how many quarts are in there?
Four.
There would be 4 quarts, right? Okay.
Yeah.
2 quarts within each half gallon.
4 quarts within the whole gallon.
How many pints within each quart?
2.
2.
What's it?
Now just watch. So therefore, how many pints within each half gallon?
2, 3. Wait, what? Together.
Here's the half gallon. How many pints are in there?
4.
4. How many pints are in the whole gallon? You see it?
No.
The whole thing is the gallon. How many red pints do you see in there? 8. Okay. How many cups are in a pint? How many cups are in a pint?
2.
Okay. If there are 2 cups in a pint, how many cups are in a quart?
4.
4.
16. Oh my God.
Here's 1 quart. How many cups are in a quart?
4.
4. How many cups are in a half gallon?
8.
How many cups in?
16. Oh.
Do you see that? Okay. But you see how the drawing shows the relationships? Okay. Because it keeps increasing by 2, right? All right. Now you can draw. So start out with a gallon. Do you want me to start all over?
No.
Yes.
No.
No. No.
Mm.
So you start out with a gallon, a great big G. There's a great big G, right? Then there's 2 half gallons, right? And then each of those half gallons has 2 quarts, right? Then each of those has 2 pints. Then each of those has 2 cups.
2 of them. It looks like you.
Does that make sense? Well, if you're going to do like some liquid measurements beyond that, a lot of times you'll use your tablespoons and teaspoons, that kind of stuff. Okay? Or you use like a fourth of a cup, a third of a cup. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So does that help you see relationships? Okay. So what a lot of people try to do is memorize. Oh, I had to multiply by 2 or by 4 or by 8 or by 16 or divide or whatever. Okay. And then you start getting all jumbled up in at what point am I where? If you can do a quick sketch like this, can you easily see what you need to do? Okay. Can you easily see the relationships? Okay. So if you're having trouble remembering where you are or what you're doing, draw a quick sketch. that make sense? Okay. So if I had 2 gallons of milk and I wanted to know how many cups that was. Well, here's 1 gallon. How many cups do I have in 1 gallon? How many cups do I have in 1 gallon?
Oh, let's see.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 in 1 gallon. How many cups would I have in my next gallon?
32. 32.
How many cups would I have in my next gallon?
16.
How many cups did I have in this gallon?
16.
So I get another gallon of milk, am I gonna have 32 cups in there? No, I'm gonna have another 16. How many will I have in my third gallon of milk?
16.
16. How many cups will I have altogether? 16 3 times. 16 times 3. Does that make sense? Okay. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look in our books on page 595. No, I don't have 595. Let's go back a page. Let's go back to 592. 592. Up here in the corner, it gives you some converting units. You can use your paper that we just had. You can look at your gallon diagram, okay? If we're trying to go from larger units to smaller units or smaller units to larger units, we do just what we did with our customary units of length. We're either going to multiply or we're going to divide. You just have to understand which direction you're going, right? Okay. So if we have 32 pints and we want to put it in gallon containers, we want to break it up into groups, right? Yes? No? Okay. So if we have 32 pints and we're going to go to gallons, how many pints are in a gallon? How many pints are in a gallon? Look at your gallon picture. How many pints are in a gallon? 8. We don't need to jump through a bunch of hoops to get there, right? Right? We can take our 32 pints and divide by 8, and we would have 4 gallons, right? They're suggesting that we go down by 2s and by 2s. We don't need to do that. We can go by 8 right away, can't we? By looking at our picture? Isn't that much quicker? Okay. All right. Does that make sense? When we look down here, 3 gallons is how many pints? Well, how many pints are in a gallon? Look at your picture. How many pints are in a gallon?
2.
How many pints are in a gallon?
8.
8. We have 3 gallons. Every gallon has 8 pints. So we have 24 pints. Does that make sense? Okay. We have 5 quarts. We want to know how many pints we have. Well, how many pints are in every quart? 2 pints are in every quart. If I do this, there's a pint, right? So 5 times I have 2 pints, or a total of 10 pints. Does that make sense? 6 quarts equals how many cups? Well, how many cups are in a quart?
4.
4 cups are in every quart, so 6 times 4 equals 24 cups. Does that make sense? So it's very much like what we did yesterday, only we are working with different units of measure. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
When you go to compare, again, you're going to go to 1 unit and convert. Okay. Let's take a look at number 17 down here. Number 17. 12 gallons, and we're comparing to 50 quarts. I would suggest you change gallons to quarts. How many quarts are in 1 gallon? 4. So 12 times 4 is 48. So we have 48 quarts compared to 50 quarts. What's our symbol? Less than. Number 18, 320 fluid ounces compared to 18 pints. Oh dear. Well, when's the only time we mentioned fluid ounces?
When we were talking about
When we talked about cups. There's 8 fluid ounces in a cup. How many cups are in a pint?
2.
2. So we need to take 8 times 2, which is 16. There are 16 fluid ounces in a pint then, right? Yes? So we would need to do 18 times 16 to compare it to that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So are you clear on what you would need to do for these? All right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Questions?
No.
Okay. Very similar to what we did yesterday, only different units of measure. Okay. Of all of our units that we use in capacity, you will see these capacity units used in a variety of situations. Okay. Yesterday we said that yard was only used like in football for the most part. Okay. The capacity units are used on and off everywhere. Does that make sense? So if you would go to the grocery store, you could find things in cups, pints, quarts, half gallons, gallons. You can find them all over the place, all right? You can find quarts of oil. You can, these are going to be found all over the place. Fluid ounces are used a lot in measuring like even hair products that are liquid. Okay, so to say that in capacity for the customary units, some of them really aren't used much. No, they're all used a lot. Okay, all right. When you were younger, I would say the gallon of milk, you would have been most obvious to you. Okay, but now that you're at this age, you would see a lot of these things if you just pay attention. Does that make sense? Okay, yes.
Like a gallon of oranges. Like a gallon of oranges.
Okay. All right. So if you just start paying attention, you'll start noticing these sizes. Yeah.
So if you go to the store and you get like something and have, doesn't half and half come in quarts when you get?
You can, yeah, yeah. Yeah. A lot of times that's in quarts. Yeah. So when you start looking at, liquid measurement, look in the juices, any kind of creamers for coffees, those kinds of things, anything liquid you put in coffees, you'll see a lot of these other measurements besides gallons. Okay, all right. Okay, on page 595 then, no, 595, yeah, 595, 595. On 595, you may cross off number 18.
Okay, wait, oh, yes.
And that's the only page you have to do, is 595. It is due tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will not be here. Mrs. Airgood will be in here. You will be doing more on customary units of measure. Do not think that because you have a sub that you're going to get by with something. Don't think that for a minute. Do you understand? Because if I find out that you tried pulling one, that's being rude to a guest in the classroom. That's pretty bad in my eyes. There will be consequences. Do you understand? Okay. That assignment is to be done for tomorrow.